Welcome to this edition of Tennessee Concrete Conversations, a podcast of the Tennessee Concrete Association. My name is Alan Sparkman. I'm the Executive Director for TCA, and my guest today is Kent Starwalt, who is the Executive Vice President for the Tennessee Road Builders Association, a longtime partner and ally for us in things that concern construction in Tennessee, and I'm excited to have him on our show today. So Kent, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Let's start talking about one of the things that we're cooperating on currently, which is a program called Be Proud, Be Pro.
Be Pro, Be Proud.
Be Pro, Be Proud. See, it's really new, so I'm still struggling with the name. But tell us a little bit about what that is. It's coming to Tennessee. It's in a couple of other states, but I think it's a great initiative for our industry.
Yeah, so it's a workforce development initiative. So what it is it's a semi-trailer that has various simulators or virtual reality things in it that will that shows these high school kids, even eighth graders, what certain skills are or certain jobs in certain trades, and allows them to really be sort of hands-on and operating maybe a piece of equipment, or they've got some other construction type equipment. They got a truck driver in there. So various trades that you can do: welding, diesel mechanic. So literally these kids come in, put the hands on, learn about the industries, learn about the jobs that are available, what they pay, and that you can make a great living, in the trades. And so it's really our effort in cooperation with the Tennessee Chamber and the McKee Foods, the Associated Builders and Contractors, the Forestry Association, and then now y'all. And so that's
the Trucking Association.
The Trucking Association. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, and so a great partnership to try to just one more effort, right, to try to get kids interested in the trades.
Yeah, and we've been talking about at TCA the importance of telling our story, because I firmly believe that we have a great story, that we offer great opportunities really across the construction industry. So this is a really important way to tell our story to the people that we're going to be trying to hire in a very short period of time.
That's
so
right.
I'm excited that we're a part of that, and that's
we're excited if we can put a kid in a simulator of a backhoe, for example, right? Mm-hmm. And let him sit there and play with that thing and see, one, how easy it is to operate, right? A lot of joysticks, right, what they're used to playing with. Yeah. And so, again, we're very excited about it as well. I think it's a great opportunity.
Well, we look forward to working together on that. The other thing that is pretty timely, we just yesterday heard an announcement from the governor's office about infrastructure. So anybody that's in Tennessee, in his acceptance speech a couple of weeks ago, the governor specifically called out infrastructure, and so now we're taking another step in that direction, which is good. So let's talk a little bit about that and what that might mean, kind of what the governor's it's a high level. What's the high level plan that he talked about?
What they're looking at is trying to improve our transportation infrastructure, specifically our road and bridge program in the urban areas, to deal with congestion there, and then to have available funding to 6-lane, three lanes in each direction, our interstates, right? So 6-lane in our interstates, and look at the big picture of increased funding, potentially using part of the surplus to provide additional funding to the program. And then as they do that, to address what they're talking about, address the congestion issue in our urban areas, are managed lanes, choice lanes, where you look at creating, and that's really a toll lane that would add capacity. So it would be a new lane, not tolling the existing system, but adding a new lane to try to address the congestion in urban areas.
So I think the positive thing, and it's early days and there's a lot of details to be worked out, but the positive that I take away from that, and I think there's a couple. One is that it's new capacity. Mm-hmm. And in urban areas, you and I both live in the Nashville area, and we know firsthand how much that's needed, and that's a difficult issue to solve. So new capacity, I like that. Mm-hmm. That's good. And I also like that we're taking some of that surplus that Tennessee has generated, and it's pretty significant. I mean, it's $2 billion plus in surplus just in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So Tennessee's done a good job to produce that surplus, but I'm excited that it's going to be invested in infrastructure, which I think will pay dividends for every Tennessean for years to come.
Absolutely. So if the General Assembly goes along with the governor's office and puts some additional revenue, general fund revenue into the road fund or a transportation fund, it'd be the second year that they've done that. Last year they put $619 million out of the general fund money over to TDOT. Some of that's for rural intersection improvements, and they also put $100 million in for Improve Act projects to try to stimulate some more spending there. And then even prior to that, they took $200 million in general fund money for the Blue Oval, for the new intersection down there along the interstate, and to build the road from the plant to the interstate. So that was a great inflection of cash, and so we're looking forward to more of the use of the surplus to upgrade our transportation system, and we're very excited about it and looking forward to be a part of that.
Yeah, the Blue Oval project, which I think most people have heard of by now, it's Ford's electric vehicle plant, I think for the Lightning F-150s.
That's correct.
And a battery plant. Mm-hmm. It's somewhere around 12 million square feet under roof, which is that number is hard to ascertain, but it's a big number. It's a $5 billion investment. So making that accessible, it's going to be a transformational thing for all of West Tennessee, and it'll have benefits across Tennessee. So it takes infrastructure to get that kind of investment.
It does.
And it pays, everybody benefits from that. So I think that's exciting.
That's truly transformative for West Tennessee. That whole thing will literally change West Tennessee, for generations to come. I mean, I think it's an exciting thing for that part of the state.
And we're starting to see now, I saw some of this recently. Of course, the Ford investment is very large, even on the scale of large investments, but other investments where you've had large manufacturing facilities come in many cases, the follow-on, the support industries for that, which will be located close. Many of them will be in Tennessee, and the investment for those over time will be roughly similar to what the initial investment was. So these announcements are splashy, but man, they're important.
They really are. And I think it's sort of what Volkswagen brought to Chattanooga, right? And they, again, or Nissan has brought to Rutherford County and some of those areas, and now this for West Tennessee. It's interesting that Tennessee's truly sort of becoming, with a music city. Nashville's a music city, and we're becoming sort of the motor state, right?
Yeah.
Detroit and Michigan may not like that, but that's where we're headed.
Well, and one thing that you and I would snicker about is that we're becoming the motor state, and we're almost becoming the electric car motor state, which is maybe an issue for a future podcast when it comes to funding our highway investment.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. Let me jump in there. But so part of the governor's proposal, actually, that rolled out was they're looking to create parity with electric vehicles to pay with what a gas-powered vehicle will pay. That's also part of their proposal. So the question is, what is that parity? And what they have said is that the average motorist in Tennessee, I believe it's like 13,500 miles a year, 21 miles a gallon, pays in state and federal gas tax, about $300 a year. And so currently electric vehicles pay $100 annual registration fee on top of when they get their license plates. And so they're looking to create parity between what that gas-powered car pays and what that electric vehicle pays. And what that number ends up, I don't know what that's going to be. That's to be decided. But that's a major part of this proposal. Now, it's very little dollars right now because we have about 16,000 registered electric vehicles in the state. But as we build more electric cars at Volkswagen and start having the F-150s roll off in West Tennessee, it's going to become more and more important how we fund our program.
Yeah. And I think that whole issue goes back to the governor's announcement. It's difficult to fund infrastructure, particularly at the scale of roads and bridges. So that's one thing about that announcement that's exciting. And I think a lot of people don't make the connection. But in Tennessee particularly, our highways are funded by the taxes that you and I and every other truck and car on the road pay. It's really a user fee. So nobody likes taxes, but that's to me a fair way to do it. That worked well for a long time, but now things are changing with electric vehicles. We're going to see electric, long distance trucks at some point. I don't think that's right around the corner, but those trucks would no longer burn diesel, so they would be getting, quote, a free ride on the interstate. So something has to change with the funding mechanism, and that seems to me an appropriate, good step at this point in time.
It does, and until we can move to a vehicle miles traveled funding mechanism, whereby it doesn't matter what kind of vehicle you have, you're going to pay so much per mile. We have to be able to address electric vehicles using our roads, and they're using them the same as everybody else. And again, it truly is a user fee, right? If you're not driving and buying gas, then you're not paying into the system, and which also creates a problem with regard to funding in that it's a per gallon tax. And so it doesn't matter if gas is $2 or $3 a gallon. It's the same 26 cents of the state gas tax, and it's not indexed. And so we really have a situation trying to fund our transportation system going forward that we have to find some creative ways to fund it, since the fund isn't growing. It's growing to the extent that more people are moving the state and more people are driving, but it's not keeping up with inflation.
Yeah. And it's not keeping up with the increased demands on the system.
That's correct.
And that's a good segue into probably our final question, which is to talk a little bit about TDOT and kind of their existing road program. Tennessee has a great road system and is the envy, I think, of a lot of states. Tennessee's road program is still debt-free. So all those dollars that are collected, 26 cents at a time, none of that goes to debt service in Tennessee. In some states, that's a scary high number. So it's good that we know that our money is going to build roads and infrastructure. I think Tennessee should be proud of that. But talk a little bit about kind of the progression just in dollars for the annual TDOT program. So we had the program before the gas tax increase that we had a couple of years back, the program after, and then where the program is today with some of the IIJA money, the Infrastructure Act, as we often call it.
Yeah. So in 2017, the legislature passed the IMPROVE Act, which increased the state's gas tax by 6 cents, and then the diesel tax by 10 cents. And so the gas taxes, they're both actually level now at 26 cents, and then there's a 1.4 cent there's an environmental fee. So 27.4, but 26 of it is for transportation. And that created about $500 million overall, about $250 million on an annual basis to TDOT, the others to the other 250, the cities and counties. And unfortunately, inflation has eaten into most of that, but it was a good bump. It wasn't really enough at the time, but it's what could get passed. It also was an index, as I mentioned previously. But again, that was a nice bump in the program. And then as we move forward now with this additional revenue into general fund revenue into the road fund, the program is about $1.2 billion in contracts that are let on an annual basis. And we were, in the $800 to $900 million range, prior to the IMPROVE Act. And so that's been a great bump. The program is steadily increasing. Because we don't bond our program, we don't see huge swings in our program, which is a real positive. And so, again, we're about 1.12, and then part of that as well was the IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that was passed a year ago or signed a year ago by President Biden, that provided another about $250 million on an annual basis for the state of Tennessee. Again, about the equivalent of what the IMPROVE Act was, which was, again, it's great to have some new money. And TDOT has done, again, a fantastic job, as they're actually one of the leaders in the country in actually getting the IIJA money on the street. And I mean, there are some states who have have put out very, very few of that. They haven't put out as much money as they should, or hardly any of it. And so we're very grateful that Tennessee has stepped up, had the projects ready, and get work out of street, create the jobs, help with economic development. Obviously, try to reduce some congestion we can, and provide those economic development opportunities for the state.
Yeah, and that matters. We see evidence of that, like with the Blue Oval program, and just in the last couple of weeks, we've got the official announcement of the LG Chemical investment in Clarksville, which is not quite as large as Ford. It's only $3.5 billion or something like that, but it's the second largest investment. It's also tied to electric vehicles because they're going to be a supplier for electric batteries. But those types of things happen much easier when you've got infrastructure to support them. And that's the thing about infrastructure. Obviously, we care a lot about it because our members are deeply involved in it, but everybody benefits from that.
There's no question. The jobs they provide, the tax base they bring in, that allows the state and the local communities to be able to continue to build their infrastructure, right, which is important for us as well. And so, what the state's been able to do, and it's funny because of its sort of low tax base that it has, right? We're one of the least tax states in the country. That low tax atmosphere, it's good for business, right? So we see a lot of these business movement. We see people coming from other states here because of our tax situation. And so it's created a great opportunity for us. And I think Tennessee is going to continue to be one of the most attractive states to come, certainly to attract more business, to attract more people moving in, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. And we're going to need to, we started off this conversation talking about workforce and some of the things that we're working on in that regard with respect to the trades, which is exciting. And Tennessee, I think, is probably a leader in that as well. Governor Lee has always had a focus on the trades and the importance of that, which is good. But we are in a battle to recruit future workers, which I think a lot of people have not yet realized. So there's, again, a whole probably series of podcasts on that, but we need people to come to Tennessee, young people, because we need them in our workforce.
We do indeed. And as you know, when we tell people that about that the construction industry in general, right? You don't have to have a skill, right? We can help train you, right? And I tell people, it's like, if you can write your name and pass a drug test, and I know for some that's difficult to do, you can start making $18-20 an hour literally with no skill, right? And so the fact that we can, many of our companies obviously will gladly train people and put them in there, and as they get more training, they can make more money. And again, as we can let people know that the trades in the construction industry pay well, and that's our real challenge. Our businesses are outside, right? And some people don't like cold weather or hot weather, but it's really a great place to work, and we just need to convince these younger people that it is a career opportunity for them, and we think that's, again, back to the Be Pro Be Proud thing and other workforce development efforts that we're making. We can try to get that message across.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical for the future success of the construction industry, and we do have a great story. Because you can start, that's where you start today. I think almost anywhere in Tennessee, based on my conversations with my members, I think that's a very representative number. Where you can go from there, it's not, nothing's unlimited, but there's a lot of upside. So you can go from that to making, if you want to put it in annual terms, 50, 60, even as an operator, hourly worker, sometimes $80,000 and $90,000 a year, and you have no college debt. And you get 4 years to earn that money where you would have been in school. I'm a college graduate, as are you, and I'm not anti-college, but the economics have shifted, and it makes our story even stronger.
It does. And there's the other thing I talk about sometimes with regard to that is, we're sort of the age of self-gratification, right? Instant gratification. And one of the things about our industry is that you can look at something and say, I built that. I was a part of that. And that's a huge thing. And I don't think enough people recognize that. And I think that's really important. I'm sure you can drive around Kentucky
I still do.
And tell people, it's like, I was a part of that, right? And that's a great part of our story.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it'd be good for us to get that story in front of high school and even younger kids, because they are literally the future. And it's exciting for both of us, I think, to be working on that.
It is. Absolutely.
Kent, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. This has
and
been
for the
fun.
insight, and I'm sure we'll have opportunity to do it again, perhaps when we get a few more details on the Infrastructure Act. So thank you for joining us today on Tennessee Concrete Conversations.